February 8th, 2021. This is Oblast Radio with Don and Kevin. I am Kevin.
And I am Don.
And this is our third show with the two of us. Hooray. I'm trying to stop saying and ah as much as possible.
Good luck.
Yeah, just about there, right there.
It's hard to do.
It is. I edit the show for my second job. We do like a sort of an interview thing for technology and things, and I have to go through that and remove ums and ahs and things, and work on the cadence of the show a little bit. And yeah, people say it all the time. It's difficult to completely remove it, and sometimes it works. Like, it breaks things up. But there's people that get really nervous, and then they say it so many times that it's distracting, and so you got to take those out of there. And I've actually seen it so many times on like that, wave graph thing, so I know what it looks like on there, and I know where it is, and I can just like get rid of it. So it's kind of funny. So this week, I was talking to Don, and I was like, well, the first show back, we talked about politics, and then the second show back, we talked about like racism and stuff, American Indians and everything. I was like, so this week I want to talk about abortion. And Don's like, that's a terrible idea. And I'm just like, well, it's not really about abortion, but it sort of is, but it's not. So, if this is a sensitive subject for you, it's fine. This isn't political, though. It's not meant to be like for or against, because I'll just be honest, like, and I don't. When I go vote and everything, like, that is not an issue that's high on my determination if I'm voting one way or another. Like, it might be for like religious people, because like they take it like a lot more seriously, or women, that are like really, or maybe whoever, I don't know. Maybe that's really important. But for me, it's just like I'd rather make sure people have jobs and things like that. Like, it's just not something that's really critical to me when I vote. So I don't put a lot of thought in the fact of like which way I would actually even go. Like, I'm not a woman, so I'm not like thinking about it too much, and I get all the privilege. Well, that's just, you don't have to worry about it. See, and I get it. I'm not here to talk about any of that. I'm just saying, like, if you were like to try to pigeonhole me like one way or the other, like, I'm not even sure. So don't take this audio conversation to be like me trying to sway you one way or the other, because I'm not. I don't care. But my thought process is like, I'm kind of a dude who like thinks about things and thinks, about trying to find solutions to issues and things of that nature. And I look at things from all sides and stuff. And so, like, a long time ago, people, like, there was this thing, and it was about abortion and everything, and they were talking about how adoption is like, a big thing. Like, there's a lot of people that want to adopt, they want to adopt, and there's not enough kids to go around. And you could see that, right? You can see, like, celebrities especially, they go out and adopt like babies from other countries, and it gets all famous when they do it, because they're famous, but they can't. I mean, yes, some of them might want to adopt a baby from like China or Africa or India or whatever, but not all of them would, right? If there was like an abundance of kids in the United States, there would be some that would be adopting from the United States. But it's just really difficult in the United States because there's just not a lot of infants up for adoption. And in terms of like older kids, I'm not that sure. You know what I mean? Like, I think. Well, that's. Go ahead.
I was going to say, when you say there's a lot of people who want to adopt kids and there's just not enough kids, well, that's not right. There's a lot of people who want to adopt kids. There's just not enough of the right kids, because everybody's like, well, I don't want a 8-year-old or a 12-year-old or a, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know. I just don't know about that statistic. So I didn't look that up, but that's not really the purpose of like what I was. That's a good point, but it's not like I'm thinking more with this particular conversation. I just wanted to focus on infants, and there are about 4,000 or 5,000 infants between 0 and 1 that are in foster care right now. And the reason they're not adopted is just because not every kid can be adopted. Like, for instance, if, you were a single mom or a single dad, let's say, your ex jumped off a cliff, and you were a single dad, and you had a kid with her, and your kid was actually a lot younger than she is now, because I think your kid's old enough to drive now or something. I don't know.
Right.
Let's say your kid's an infant. And then you did something wrong. You broke into the Capitol building and smashed some things with the Proud Boys or something. I don't know. And you had to go to jail, right? Well,
yeah.
You're not giving up your kid. You know what I mean? Because you had to go to jail. So you somebody's not going to come along and be like, "Well, where are your new dad and mom?" Because your dad fucked up. You're just in jail for a while. So while that's happening, your kid ends up in foster care. Right. So there's about 4,000 or 5,000 infants in general that are in foster care at any one time, which is a lot, right? Mm-hmm. But that's just how the America is. We know there's women in jail that are pregnant, and then they have the kid, and then the kid ends up in foster care because the mom has to serve out her sentence. And then there's lots of people that are just addicted to drugs, and they have to work through that before they're allowed to have their kids back.
Right.
So a lot of kids just end up in foster care. No big deal. So, but I was talking, or I was learning about this sort of thing, and a long time ago, and they had this thing where if there is a kid that's up for adoption, regardless of the status of that kid, that's like an infant, they'll take it. Meaning, like, if the kid has bad health,
issues.
Yeah, any of those, I don't even know what you call it anymore. I mean, because we used to just say mental retardation for a wide variety of things, and I'm not trying to be derogatory, but I don't know how you classify all of those. When I say that, people know what I'm talking about, but I don't know how to classify all of those potential things into one thing anymore. I don't know what that is, because people are trying to be sensitive, so
special needs.
Yeah, if you have a special needs child, but that can be anything. Like, a special needs child can be a kid that just screams a lot and runs around and is, smacking people and stuff. Well, Billy's special needs, but everybody, I'm just apologizing now. I know, because that can be offensive to some people. I'm not trying to be, but that's a thing where people will be like, they'll still take those kids because there's people out there that want to adopt. And so I was always thinking, well, that they should, the people that are pro-life, they should go out and they should, tell people more about that, to get the word out more about that, in the sense of, there's lots of people out there that are looking for a kid. And, if you want to do a nice thing and have your kid, then, and give it away. I'm not saying that's easy or, you want to go through it. I'm not, again, this isn't political. I'm not trying to say one way or the other. I'm just saying, people should at least know that their kids aren't going to end up in an orphanage. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like Annie and shit, and we'll be like, it's a hard knock life. None of that's going to happen. The kids are going to get adopted right away, and and that might be a positive message that maybe more people should know about. I don't know, but so that gave me a thought process there where I was thinking, wow, there's lots of people that want to adopt. There's a parent out there, there's a family out there for every kid. And then, people always talk about, how they want to, outlaw abortion and in the United States. And I'll just say, and again, not political, and I'm not going to keep caveating this, so if this topic makes you mad, just skip it. Halfway through this episode, we're going to talk about something else. If it ever got I don't think it'll ever get outlawed, because it's mostly a Christian-driven movement, and it's not to say that all people are, what I mean, but it's mostly a Christian-driven movement, and Christians are the population in the United States of Christians is slowly dwindling. it used to be 3/4 of the population, and then they said by 2050 it'll be 2/3 of the population, but we're already below 2/3 now in 2021. But there's 65% of the country is now Christian. One of the problems with that is because the funny thing is a lot of those people that are Christian don't want the Mexicans and stuff to come up from the border, but those are the immigrants that are Christian. You know what I mean? So they would bolster their numbers if they came into the United States, but since they don't want them, you know, there's just a decline, because then you start getting them from, you know, other people from all over the world, and you know, range of mixed religions. So anyway, so I don't think, unless something crazy, you know, because the world keeps moving, unless something crazy happens, it'll happen. I mean, even now, the court system is heavily leaning to the right, and they haven't been like, well, guys, this is our chance. We've got enough people now. We should like make it illegal. It's probably not going to happen. And one of the reasons it's probably not going to happen is, and this is what I wanted to talk about, was, let's say, Don.
Okay.
Let's say it was illegal, right?
Right.
Now, how many abortions do you think happen in the United States in a year?
Oh, jeez. Probably I don't want to say hundreds of thousands, but I think it might be.
Sure. So, historically, it's usually about 1 million, but right now, it's been about 500,000. So it's been about half that. And the reason for the decline is because, in general, as incomes get better in a society, we have less kids overall. So, like the United States, if we didn't have immigration in the United States, our population would slowly decrease, because most people have about 1.3 to 1.5 kids. You know, they're not really having half a kid, but,
right?
You know, per couple.
Some people are.
So yeah, it's true. But so without immigration, you would have that issue, and so that just has a lot to do with society and access to care and all sorts of things that, you know, people aren't just sitting around bored being like, well, I guess we'll have another baby because there's nothing else to do. But so you have 500,000 kids, and now, you know, if you said, well, you can't have an abortion anymore, so now we would be saying that now there's 500,000 babies, right? And they're unwanted babies because the mom didn't want the kid. I mean, we're looking at it in a black and white type of thing here. Yes, there's going to be some moms that are going to be like, I've changed my mind, I want to raise my kid. But I think the vast majority of them are probably going to be like, I'm going to give it up for adoption. And not to mention, we have probably a sizable number of people today that do give up their kids for adoption now, right? I mean, you can do that now. You don't have to. You know what I mean? No one's you're not being forced to have an abortion either. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's like, you can't just have that kid. You know? What do you mean?
What are you thinking?
Sorry, that's not going to happen here. So 500,000 kids. Now, I was thinking about it, and it's like, okay, that's a lot of kids, all right? Like, you could maybe get enough families together in the United States to adopt that many kids. And let's be honest. Let's just be honest.
Okay.
Most of those kids are going to come from poor backgrounds, and they're not going to be, the majority of them are not going to be white, right? But the majority of the population of the United States is white. There are many families out there that'll be very happy to adopt a child of another ethnicity. But let's be honest, there's going to be a sizable number of people that maybe they are apt to adopt, but they don't want a child of another ethnicity. That's unfortunate, but we all know that that's probably true. So there's going to be some racism involved there. But let's just say you got enough distribution. You figured all the math out. You got your slide ruler out, and you figured out, all right, we got 500,000 kids. We've got about 100 million people in the United States who are eligible to be a parent or already is one and can handle having another kid. So let's distribute these kids to everybody. So they get all
it just sounds funny.
Yeah, no, it is. It is, and the all the churches get together and everything. And they're like, we got to do the right thing for these kids, and we got to make this work. And they distribute all the kids. So you got 500,000 kids out there in new homes, and it works out great. And then it's the next year, and now you've got 500,000 more kids. Look, parents are going to be like, listen, man, I got it.
I took one last year.
Right. I can make my own. I don't know. And so you would be able to, adopt, just like today, you could adopt away some of them. But you're going to end up with a couple 100,000, 300,000 kids or something that are going to end up in orphanages that don't exist right now because there are some orphanages, but not like there used to be in back in the day, and there's good reason for that. The types of organizations that were running those things weren't watched over very well. There was a lot of abuse, and I mean, just look at what's happened with the Catholics, from a religion standpoint of abusing children and altar boys and everything. And if they had all of these Catholic-run orphanages, you could just imagine what could have happened, right? And that's just one thing. It's unfortunate where, and it's not necessarily like one group or anything, but like people that are attracted to children tend to find positions where they're working with children. You know what I mean? So like if you were a daycare place, it's possible that, you're going to have some people that are going to work at a daycare place that might be interested in kids in the wrong way, because that's where they're going to find the kids. That's where they're going to go. And that could be true of like teaching and we see teachers all the time. And lately in the news, we see a lot of female teachers getting busted. And I bet that used to go on a lot, but it got more swept under the rug than it does now. You know what I mean? Because male teachers used to always be the ones that got busted, and you never really heard too much about female teachers. But you remember in high school, there would always be rumors about like one teacher screwing some of the wrestlers or something in the back gym and all this kind of stuff. You didn't know if that's true or just rumors. It's probably just rumors, but you don't know. But today, I think if things like that were happening, people would be in jail. You would think so. And we've seen that. And so those types of people, they're like, I want to work with kids because I really like kids. I think there's a lot of, obviously, the vast majority of those people are good people. They want to, spend time with kids. But, there's some weirdos in there that are trying to have sex with kids or whatever, And in an orphanage scenario, that has historically been a major problem. And there's also just like, imagine being a kid. I mean, we were lucky we had parents, right? Some people had better ones than others, but we still had parents. And if you are an orphan and you're not even in foster care, because there's plenty of people, I know people that, grew up in foster care. I know people that were adopted, never knew who their real parents were. Actually, we hung out with a few people that were adopted in high school. I'm not going to name names, but you know, and I know.
I know. I can think of one, but that's it.
Well, I'll just say first names. So Dave.
Yeah, I was going to say Crazy Homemade Tattoos.
And then Mike, who used to work at
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. And then who lived next door to Mike? Megan?
Yeah.
Her too. So
really?
There's at least three, right off the bat. So we know people like that, but an orphanage is different, right? And there's people out there that might be listening to this that grew up in an orphanage, because this show goes worldwide. But an orphanage is different. You're sharing like an adult with like 20 or 30 other kids. You know what I mean? There's some woman who comes by, and rings a bell or something, and you don't have the same sort of structure, and that causes a lot of resentment and deep problems that historically with orphans has been very difficult for them, and it's true some rise above it, but a lot of them get into trouble historically and don't turn out so well, and I can't blame them because that's a very terrible type of situation, and it's almost like torture in a way. If you stick a kid into a bad orphanage where they have, they grow up poor, they don't have any parents, they might be getting sexually abused, and you're trading one evil for like an ongoing evil for a kid. If you wanted to describe abortion as evil, and I'm just saying that in general. My point is that when people talk about outlawing it, it's like, is there a plan? Is there a plan for this? Because I don't think there is. Like, I think there's a lot of people who, for religious reasons, and there's people out there with big hearts that don't want babies to die or whatever. They have these things in their head, and I'm not knocking anybody, but I just think, there's different people think about this issue in different ways. And but I don't think they think about it in terms of, like, if you had all those kids churning out 500,000 a year over the course of 18 years, you'd have 9 million orphans. And the population of the United States, and the rest of the world is only going to get bigger, and and that those numbers will increase year on year. And it's like, what do you do with all of them? Like, how do you? It's like a problem. Like, I'm not sure, because we would all pay for it, right? Like, government would have to build these things, or charities, and we would have to, provide resources for all of these kids, but and it's a bad environment for them. And so it's not like I'm trying to say one way is better than the other. Don't get me wrong, everybody. I'm not trying to say, like, well, if you make it illegal, you've got this problem. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, if you're thinking about that, like, I'm just trying to give you some perspective. Like, what do you do with 9 million kids that don't have parents? You know what I mean? Like, what happened? It's crazy to me, because in India, they have, like, these big problems with people giving up their kids, and a lot of times, they want to stop people from just, like, putting their kids in a trash can, and walking away. And so, like, some of the in some places, like, they'll have, like, I don't know if it's an adoption agency, but it's a place where you can drop your kid off, if you don't want your kid anymore. And they have, like, it's almost like one of those bank drop boxes. It's like the steel thing that you open, and you put the baby in there, and then you close it. I saw it on the news, and
it's not traumatic for a baby at all.
I guess if it goes down like a chute or something,
bunch of bright lights and stuff,
ends up with 5 other babies, like, in a pile or something. I'm hoping there's somebody there. They just can't identify you, when you drop the kid off that way. I'm
thinking,
hand reaches out and grabs you.
Hey. I hear what you're saying, but all I can think of is the inside of that sand crawler that the Jawas have, where all the droids just keep getting plopped around.
Right. Just some basements full of small children. But that's a society that it's a good example of the kind of situation that you have, where you have all of these kids, and the people that work with them try and do their best, but it's a problem. And in the United States, I think it would be a bigger problem in the sense of, like, we have, we're the richest country on earth. You wouldn't know it with all the bills we have to pay, but and then if we have, like, 9 million kids that are sort of without their own homes, and once they turn 18, they're cut off from the state, and they just have to go off into the streets and try to make a life like they used to do. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know what there's no answer to that. It's not going on, at least not here. But it's a thing like people should think about in terms of like, okay, guys, if we do outlaw this thing like we plan to do, what are we going to do with all these kids? Like, what is the plan? Like, let's come up with a plan for that, because it sounds like a real problem, And so, anyway, that's what this show is kind of about. It's just offer perspective, and that was just some perspective I was just thinking about. It's a lot of kids.
What if, I don't know if this is something that can be done. I don't even know. I just saw something like on Facebook like 2 days ago or something.
Sure.
And somebody was like, why don't we just, what do you call it? When boys are born, give them vasectomies because they're reversible. And then that way, when they're old enough to go ahead and have children or want to have children, they can go ahead and have it reversed so that they can do it. But I don't think that's possible, because as a kid, that screws up all your organs and stuff. You're still growing and developing.
I don't think they're going to give them major surgery, even
out of the womb.
Everything's so tiny, not fully developed yet.
Right. No, as I said it, I thought of it. I was like, "Oh, you sound like such an idiot."
I don't think. I think what would be better would be like and they kind of have that now, but like a pill type of thing, right? That lasts like a longer time. They have like a shot that women can get anyway that will last for, I don't know, I don't think it's a year, but I think maybe it's half a year or something like that for birth control. So you get the shot and then you're good for like 6 months or maybe a year, and then you have to go and get a shot again. And that's a little bit inconvenient because nobody really wants to get a shot. I mean, even if you're not afraid of needles, it's still not the most comfortable thing in the world to go somewhere and just get stabbed.
Right.
You have the cost and all of this stuff. I don't know with Obamacare if any of that's free. I don't think it is. Birth control of that type, I don't know. But if they had something where you could take a pill and it was good for a year, rather than how it is now, where I guess women take a pill every day or something, with these pill packs that they have to do if they're on the pill. If they could just pop one pill, for a year, I think that would help prevent accidents from happening. But I think a lot of these people that end up, we can't speak for everybody, but I would imagine that nobody really wants to go through an abortion. It's not like, that's how you want to spend your day.
There's nobody looking forward to that.
Right. And so it's unplanned. It's an unplanned pregnancy for them. And they don't want to, they don't, again, not trying to get into the argument, it's an inconvenience, too bad. I'm just saying how the outlook is that, they don't want to have it. And so, they're going to go through that in order to terminate the pregnancy and move on. And I think those people that are getting into that situation are usually not the people that have the best planning in mind. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, obviously.
Right. They're not going to be the ones that are like, I should take the pill, it's due, or something, because it's fairly easy to get a hold of contraceptives. Not for younger people, I guess. Like if you're 16 or 15 or something, you need your parent to help you, I think. Not boys. I mean, we can get condoms.
You just go to the gas station.
Right.
Yeah.
But for girls, you have to, I don't know how that works really, because at some places they're always trying to restrict that sort of thing, and I get it too. Like that's a real difficult parental thing, because on one side, you've got the parents who want to know if their daughter is going to some hospital somewhere, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and is going to go into medical treatment and have this medical procedure done and to take medications and to be, all of that, you're their parent. I get it. And then at the same time, we all know that there's parents out there that are totally not understanding. And maybe would put or ridiculous pressure on a kid that's like 16 years old, and I feel for that kid. I don't know what that kid their options are, because you don't want to go the other way and have them try and terminate it in like a non-medical way. You know what I mean? Like having their boyfriend punch him in the stomach, or drinking whiskey, and somebody's homemade concoction. Those backyard or back alley abortions that they used to talk about and stuff. So, but I think that unfortunately, lots of young girls get pregnant. We went my ninth grade, when I met Don, we were in a class, which was
two of them.
Yeah, which was basically for kids that they were trying to keep in school. They didn't want us to drop out. And so we were in these classes with other kids that would go to work for half the school year, and girls that were pregnant were in this class, and, because they were at risk of dropping out. And I don't know.
I was a freshman.
Yeah.
We were both freshmen, actually, but
yeah. Well, and at least one of those were, right?
Yeah.
And the other one was 1 year up.
1 year over, yeah. She used to live around the corner from me.
And I don't know if they both made it through high school, to be honest with you. I mean, I know the whole plan was to keep us in high school, but it worked.
I think
for some
R
of us.
made it. I think R made it and J didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to say their names.
Right. No, I know. But it happens. It happens, and then these these girls were going to have them, obviously. But there was probably, let's be realistic. When we were in high school, we had almost 2,000 kids in the school, and it's not like anybody that would have necessarily had an abortion would have been like, hey, everybody, guess what I did last weekend? You know what I mean? Like, we never knew. We never heard about it. At least I didn't. I don't know if you ever heard anything. But I'm sure it happened. Like I'm sure we had girls there that were pregnant that had their kids. I'm certain that we had some girls that probably had abortions, and they were not adults. You know what I mean? Right. And that is the world we live in, and it's just it's all I'm doing is talking about it in an interesting way, trying to avoid politics. I know it gets under some people's skin, but part of this show is just to make you think about things differently, and that's kind of what we wanted to do, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. We're moving on from this topic.
Oh, okay, good. Because I got nothing.
Yeah, but I did mention earlier, and I thought it might be kind of funny if you remember any food places. Completely switching our topics here.
Oh, okay.
Restaurants or whatnot, places that no longer exist, but used to. Like I mentioned, Sister's Chicken was this chicken place. I don't know if that was like a chain. It seemed like it was a chain.
I think it might have been just local chain.
Was it? Yeah. And then it kind of it went away. It was only around for a couple of years or so, and then it just kind of went poof.
Didn't it become Churches? Or
I don't know, because Churches is definitely a chain. They kind of merged with White Castle.
Right.
And then there was like Boston Market, and I swear Boston Market, when they first came for like 6 months or something, they were called Boston Chicken, and then they changed their name, and still made the same food, although they were kind of a bigger deal when they first showed up.
There was that restaurant from when I was a kid that was kind of like a Denny's. But I don't know if you saw him, because it might have just been out here, called Sambo's.
Oh yeah, I know about Sambo's. Yeah, it's a terrible name. But yeah.
Speaking of racism,
right. Yeah, it was like a Denny's. Yeah, there used to be one over there on like 150th. That one's I think a Cozumel now, but that restaurant always changed hands.
That one in North Olmsted, it was George's Kitchen, and then it was
Laurel's or something.
Well, no, Laurel's was down by Clegg. This is the one like we're Collector's Warehouse, or not? Yeah, Collector's Warehouse.
Right. Yeah.
Remember that little restaurant? It's burnt down now. That used to be a Sambo's.
Okay.
My dad used to take me there when I was a kid, and I used to play with my action figures on the countertop.
Big Boy used to be a bigger deal. I mean, there was one in North Olmsted, and then that went away. And they used to be more of a national presence. We still have 2 in the area, but that's it. And I think, like, if you looked on a map, there's not a whole lot of them out there. I mean, there's still some, but not a lot.
Well, that's like my girlfriend worked at Baker Square.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right? Which you used to see. I mean, if you think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, Baker Square. Everybody's heard of Baker Square for the most part, like around here. But they're all closed down. There's only one left open in Ohio, and there's 2 open in Ohio. There's one in Parma, and there's one in Menor.
Yeah, one's close to me because I can go there and get a piece of pie. But
yes,
it's near where I go shopping sometimes. That's the Parma one. Or Middleburg, or
whatever you call it. It's all the same.
It's all the same.
It's like Olmsted Falls, Olmsted Township. It's all the same.
Right. Friendlies, they went away.
Big time.
Their ice cream's still around, but the restaurants,
here's a classic.
They closed down.
Speaking of restaurants that have closed down and still have products out there, how about Chi-Chi's?
Yes, right. I knew someone that used to work there for a long time.
Yeah. You knew a couple people
that he was friends with.
I got Packard a job there once. I think I got Ram a job there once.
I like Chi-Chi's. I mean, I didn't love it, but I liked it. I mean,
everybody did.
It was like a place to go, and like it wasn't super expensive, and the drinks were usually pretty stiff. You could get cheap tacos at times. Right. It was. I liked that place. It was a good good atmosphere. It's just a shame that they mismanaged it and people ate green onions and got.
Yeah, I was gonna say
whatever they got.
It was the lettuce that killed them.
I mean, you would think they have insurance for that. Like they would survive that. I don't think that was probably just the excuse they used to hide the fact that they embezzled all the money on hookers and blow.
Yeah, right.
It's a little bit ridiculous.
I'm on a Chi-Chi's Mexican restaurant Facebook page.
Oh, really? I hear they're still in Europe or something like that. I don't know if that's true.
I think there's one.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. Two in Europe. Yeah, I actually thought about opening up my own version of Chi-Chi's. Like 2-3 years ago, before the pandemic hit, obviously. But I was like, if you could, because the recipes are so easy, the dishes were so easy because it was all cheese, onions, tortillas,
right? It's like Taco Bell. It's the same 5 ingredients.
Yeah. But these people on this website, on this Facebook page, that's all they do is they're like, well, here's the recipe for this, and what's the recipe for that? Look at this. I got a picture of this. It's like every day. It's just like, wow, I remember that.
Well, if they, unfortunately with Chi-Chi's, they still use the trademark on the grocery. You know what I mean? Grocery food.
Right.
Because if a company abandons a trademark, you can claim it. And it's not that long they have to abandon it for. But like Hardee's / Carl's Jr., weirdest thing ever that they have 2 names. Can't they just get an agreement going and say we're one or the other? But okay.
Or Hardee's Jr.
They bought out Burger Chef many years ago.
Them.
And Burger Chef, if nobody knows, they were the people that invented the salad bar, and they invented the Happy Meal. It wasn't called Happy Meal though, kids meal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with the little box and the toy surprise. That was their kind of claim to fame, and they had a weird way of cooking. Like the burgers weren't that great, but they had this weird bun heating thing where they would heat coconut oil up to like 600 degrees or something, and then toast the buns on coconut oil. Yeah, I gave it like a different taste. I can't remember it, and I only had it when I was a kid in Detroit. It went away pretty quick. But anyway, they own the trademark, and people want that trademark because there's still people out there that are like, we could open our own Burger Chef, you know what I mean, and bring back all the logos and stuff like that. So every so often, Hardee's will have like they'll put the Big Chef, which was just like a sandwich from Burger Chef. They'll put the Big Chef on the menu, and they'll have like a throwback day or something, and they'll bring out like the trademark and the characters and stuff for like a day at like specific locations, and that's enough for them to sort of renew the trademark as not abandoned for, I don't know what it is, like 10 years or something. You have to use it within a certain amount of time. Otherwise, if you don't, somebody else can just take it.
Yeah.
So it's not like a public domain thing. It's like an abandonment of your trademark. So if they ever stop making the Chi-Chi's stuff, and you waited 10 years or whatever, you could totally open your own Chi-Chi's, I guess.
Well, I was gonna open a place like with the same recipes and everything, and call it not Chi-Chi's, but very close. Or maybe just Chi.
Yeah. When we were younger, like in the 90s, maybe in the very beginning of the 2000s, like Chi-Chi's was kind of it for Mexican food. Like you could go to La Cheetah's. I think that was maybe around, and and that's like more into Cleveland. And I'm sure there were some places like in the heart of Cleveland that maybe, but in terms of like out in the suburbs, that was Chi-Chi's and that was it. I mean, there was nothing.
That's because they were like a chain, Mexican chain,
right?
You know what I mean? There was no real all the chain restaurants were like the Bob Evans and the Denny's, like the regular home cooked family American.
Right.
Where Chi-Chi's was like, look, we're a chain restaurant and we're Mexican food. Or Southwestern, that's what they like to call it. Southwestern.
Yeah. It was Taco Bell or that. If you wanted something else. Nope.
Yeah. People loved it. It's 2-hour waits on a Saturday night. People would sit there.
It's weird that they went out of business because they were popular,
Yeah.
They could have just like, if it was like people dining in or something, like not enough people on every day of the week. I mean, those restaurants were actually kind of big, They could have toned that down a little bit, closed it off or made them smaller. I don't know. It's weird that it's weird.
You kill a couple people with some bad lettuce. Next thing you know, you're out of business.
Yeah, it's
just the way it is.
I don't buy it. Maybe they weren't paying their insurance.
Yeah, there's got to be some other reasons.
Mountain Jack's, remember that place?
Oh yeah, Ground Round.
I think the Ground Round. Oh no, it's Brown Derby.
Yeah, Brown Derby's still around.
Yeah, I used to call it the Roadhouse or something for a while, but I think it's back to Brown Derby. I don't know if Mountain Jack's just a one restaurant place or was it a chain? It seems like it was a chain, but I don't remember the one.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember there being too many of them. I just because that was the one that was where like Sly Fox is at.
Yeah.
Right. Like where a Chick-fil-A sitting or whatever. Yeah.
Chick-fil-A. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that, but I don't remember because it was one of those places that was like really popular.
Right.
And I think that's why, because there was only the one. Or there might have been like
a steakhouse when there weren't really steakhouses around.
Yeah.
That was kind of the thing. Like nobody else had the idea of why don't we just cook stuff on a grill? It's like it'd be cheaper.
Yeah.
Boardwalk Fries, is that still around, or was that just in? Yeah, because that was just like in the mall, and then it was gone. I mean, we had like places like Cut the Mustard. There was only one of those, right? There was not like a chain of.
That had to have been the only one. You can't put that many clowns around the country.
That place, I don't even. I think I had a lemonade from there in all those years that it was there. Like there was always people in there buying stuff, but I'm like, I can get a hot dog at home. Like I'm not getting a hot dog.
I loved going. Listen, my mom would be like, "We're going to the mall," and I'd be like, "I'm in. Let's go." Like I want to eat at Cut the Mustard because they give you a balloon. The kids would get a balloon.
Oh, okay. When you're
they had that. Yeah, and then the clown up on the thing doing the swirly bouts on the bar and stuff. And you're just like, everything's clowns. You're like, I want a hot dog, and you get a hot dog, and then you.
Yeah, it was kind of like fair food, really. It was kind of like a fair food place. I wasn't mature enough in my teenage years to respect the fair food thing.
Fair fries and stuff. Oh, so good.
I worked at the competition at the Manchu Walk, which is still around. They're a chain. You're usually on highway exits.
Yeah, right. With all the Hardys and Carl Juniors.
Right. They're not a great. It's not the same food anymore because it was bought out by one of the KFC conglomerates when I worked there. But
I mean, if you look at like most of the mall places, those places were all like Sparrows, and those you could find those still on the highway.
Sparrows for sure. That's popular. I mean, that's like a national brand. Yeah, that's everywhere. Just trying to think of other places like in the mall.
Skyline Chili.
That's still around. That's a Cincinnati staple. I've never really enjoyed it, but I don't think you're supposed to. Like, I think it's like you're supposed to sort of suffer through it, like White Castle.
I'm going to assume I'm going to name a restaurant here, and you're going to go, "Oh my god!" And then I'm just going to lead by saying I'm almost positive this is the only one that I've ever seen. Olga's Kitchen.
Yeah. You know, that may have been actually a chain. I remember reading something about that. And when I was talking to Kelly Carlin, I guess she used to work there or something like that too. So it came up in conversation at one point. Yeah, I never ate there. That was a weird place because, like, people that are listening, like, you know, we used to hang out at the mall within our city back when malls were a thing, and there was a food court, right? And it was like most of the time, like if you've been in any mall, which I'm sure all of you have, your food court is all, for the most part, fast food, right? The restaurants themselves, you would have restaurants at your mall. Like we had Pizzeria Uno that was connected off to the Commons and the food court. You know, there's PJ McIntyre's, things like that. But those would usually just be like, there would be like a door there or something, and you would go into the restaurant and then wait and get seated, all that sort of stuff. Where Olga's Kitchen was kind of this weird, like, it had seats and chairs in it. Like, you could sit in the food court and there's tables and chairs like any normal food court, but then Olga's Kitchen had its own tables and chairs that you could sit at, and they would wait on you in those tables and chairs, but it was like open air towards the rest of the food court. It was really weird, and I never went there. Did you ever eat there?
No, I never ate there. I knew a bunch of people who worked there and stuff, but to give people an idea, if you're thinking of like a Commons area or a food court area, Olga's Kitchen, if you're thinking, how did they put a restaurant or a kitchen in there? They didn't put it into the thing. It literally was a video game arcade afterwards. So it's like, think of an arcade and then like put the lights on and clear the room out, and there you go. There's your restaurant.
Right.
That's what you're looking at.
It's weird.
It wasn't. You know, as like you said, Pizzeria Uno, that was kind of designed. That's on the outside of the building,
right?
But still
well,
connected.
That's usually how it is, right?
Yeah. What about Ponderosa?
Yeah, that's not around anymore, right?
Remember that last time we went? You and me, it was so gross.
Yeah, it wasn't good. No.
We were like, hey, we found this Ponderosa out here in Maple Heights or Cleveland Heights or whatever.
The concept wasn't terrible in the sense of, like, you can go to buffets. Like, Lord knows Don and I have been to some shady buffets in our life.
Oh, love them.
And you can get all kinds of stuff there, but, like, you're kind of at the mercy of all the other arms reaching for the same thing, right? So, like, you know, or waiting in a little line for, like, somebody to cut them a piece of meat or something like that. Where Ponderosa had that thing where you're kind of like, you pick out the steak that you want to eat, they're going to cook that for you that's just for you, you know, and bring it to the table. The rest of it is the buffet. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you had a little bit of both worlds. You kind of got the big item that they would make for you special, and then you had the buffet.
But that's the thing is, when I was a kid, like early on, they didn't have a buffet at all. Really? It
was just like a full restaurant?
Yeah, it was like you'd go through the line like you would do. You pick your drink and you grab your pudding cup that you want. You know, because they had the pudding in the little glass jars with the little drop.
I love how your mind works, man. You still remember like the funniest shit, like the pudding cup at Ponderosa.
That's why I wanted to go to Ponderosa. I could pour my own drink and I could get my pudding right out of the thing. It's right there, and it sits in front of you the whole time you're eating. You're just like, it's there. I'm gonna eat that so much. I just love this. You know?
That is hilarious to me. You're right. Yeah.
And then, but there was no buffet, and then you would go out to the table and you would sit there. It's just like, well, we went through the line, we paid we paid for everything or whatever, and now we're just sitting here. And eventually they come out with a bunch of food, and you're like, thank you very much. But then that buffet was weak.
Yeah, it was. But wasn't there another place that was like that? But it didn't last as long.
Bonanza.
Was it Bonanza? See, I thought that because I'm thinking that seems like the TV shows, right? Like Ponderosa, and then there was Bonanza. But I thought there was another place just kind of like it.
And that's what they were. They were like that Western theme, kind of like steakhouse. Like, howdy, partner, rustle on up and get yourself a prime rib.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever went to that one, but I did remember it. Like out west you have like Sizzler. That's like a big chain.
I remember those.
Yeah, and it's similar to that. Boy, trying to think of like chain restaurants that were around, like fast food restaurants that went under. Not too many. It seems like Arthur Treacher's was a bigger thing, and there's around, but very sparse.
How about places that went under and came back, like Little Caesars?
Yeah, not the same, but doing well now, right? Like
weird.
Not the same recipes or anything, but same brand, and now like they own the Red Wings and everything in Detroit, and the whole thing about getting 2 pizzas for the one price. That's kind of
that was the best, man, because all you had to do was like, it was like me and Oz would be like, all right, you got to get $4 and I got to get $4. Right. And then, so we would have $8. We can go in, and that's what Little Caesars was. Is like you order 1 pizza. Yep. They'd be like, order a medium pepperoni. We'll give you a second medium pepperoni for free.
Yep.
And nobody does that anymore. But
that whole box and
there's a whole long cardboard.
Right, cardboard with the wrap on top because that was cheaper or something.
So awesome.
Than
so
a box,
great.
And you would just get that, and that would be your pizza.
He who pays stays.
Yeah, the sandwiches were amazing. It was weird. That they just went away, because you don't think of that when you're a kid. You're like, this place is going to be here forever. It's huge. They're a chain. They're on every corner. This isn't going to go anywhere. And then, boy, before you know it, bam!
They're like $5. They're like $5 pizzas. It's like, you know what? I was like, I'll give it a shot. It's been a long time since I had Little Caesars, and I went in and got one. And I took like 1 bite out of it. I was just like, wow. I hope this isn't what I remember.
Right. Yeah, some places like Donato's kind of come, and then they have like all of this backing from like I don't know who owned them. I think McDonald's owned them at first, and they're like owned by the same company that owned like Chipotle and everyting. So there was lots of Donato's everywhere, and I was always confused by it because I'm not a big thin crust guy.
No.
I'll eat it if it's in front of me. I'll eat pizza. I don't care. But if I was by choice, I wouldn't get the thin crust. Right. But then they started dwindling away. They're still around, right? But they don't have the same financial backing anymore. So it's more like they got to be profitable at this point, I guess. No one's just going to pour money into them to try and take over. But like Papa John's, I know they've been having some struggles lately and stuff. East of Chicago Pizza, is that still around? I don't know. Pizza places, they're so competitive, it's tough. Like, you either got to be like a Marco's, where you're sort of dominating that really low price, delivery. Because Little Caesars is like that super low price that, but they don't deliver, I mean, you can get it delivered with DoorDash or something, but they don't deliver themselves, so they're just like cutthroat, bare minimum pricing. And then Marco's is kind of like a step up, and they deliver, and then you kind of have that whole sort of middle of the road Papa John's, Domino's Pizza, Pizza Hut kind of in the middle there, and then you get the more expensive local pizzeria type places. Yeah, that's a tough business, though. I don't know how you can do that. Burger places, I mean, Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's.
I mean, that's Rallies.
Used to be Snaps, right?
Yeah.
Went away. Zips. I never went to Zips, but they went under. They were in Cleveland somewhere.
I went to Whataburger when I lived in Oklahoma.
That's still around, I think, right?
Not good.
Same with that. Yeah, I always see the like if I'm going cross country or something driving, I always see the A&W restaurants, which are kind of like those Swensons, where it's like a drive-in type of thing.
Yeah,
still around. They're not in our area, so you don't see commercials for them. I don't even know if they make commercials for them. I've never seen one. But they're still a chain, and they're still everywhere, and it's still the root beer people.
Yeah,
it's those things are around. Yeah, Taco Bell.
Taco. I mean, that's the thing is like you get all like the ripoffs like Taco Villa, Taco Nuevo, Taco
Captain
Bueno.
Taco.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but Taco Bell's the only one that's really kind of made it purely on as a major chain on Mexican food. Like I know, like Hardee's, they've got like something there that's like a Mexican thing that's sort of mixed in with their stuff, but it's also like it's kind of like how White Castle does the Church's thing, you know? It's kind of like a brand that's in there, Del Taco or something. And I know Jack in the Box has like some sort of tacos or something that people buy. I think they're garbage, but people buy them. That's a chain that's not that's another thing. Cleveland's weird.
Right. Well, we need that.
We in our county and kind of like in a lot of the surrounding counties of us, but not all of them, there are major fast food chains that are just not here. And it's weird that they're not. Like, it's okay if, like White Castle was here and they left. And that's okay. Like, they're down in Cincinnati. If you really wanted to go, you could drive the 4 hours or whatever it is to go get yourself some terrible, toilet time. But but then there's other ones that are like Hardee's Carl's Jr., not in Cleveland. You can see their commercials on our TV all the time, but not in Cleveland. Like there used to be one way out in Sheffield, and I think there's one out in like Willoughby, but or Mentor, but nowhere near Cleveland itself, and that's true of a lot of like Jack in the Box. No Jack in the Boxes here, man. It just doesn't exist.
Well, that's just like if you could like Waffle House.
Right.
There's no Waffle House in the Cleveland area.
Right.
But as soon as you hit like Lodi, Seville, like down where I used to live, Julie.
Yeah, Seville has Hardee's too. Yeah.
It's like that's where that starts picking up. Everything south of there.
I'm not going that town though. That town's creepy.
Yeah.
I'm glad you don't live there anymore. It's weird.
Oh, that Westerville, where it was like Stepford Wives, where like everybody came out, like the bell rang at noon and everybody walked out of buildings and they all walked in a circle and stuff. It was just weird. Like, what?
It's just like a weird area. Like, not just that. Yeah.
Noises.
Children of the Damned and everything. But it was just kind of like nothing really out there, But then there's all these houses, and I know there's farms and stuff, but it's like, there's like all these normal houses, but they're really old houses too. And it's like, it just seems like the kind of place where somebody's going to like, murder you and make you the scarecrow out in the farmland or something. And no one's going to find you, And you're just going to have like a mask on your face as your body rots on some stick somewhere. I just didn't care for that place. I mean, your house was nice, but I didn't care for the neighborhood. Plus, it was kind of far
old. Yeah.
When you were in Columbus, was there anything there that we didn't have up here? Did you recall? I mean, you're usually going to the same places, but maybe you remember something.
Well, back then when I was down there, they had this place called Raising Cane's.
Oh, right. Yes.
And now it's up here. Now it's like the past 3 years or something like that. They started infiltrating this area, which is awesome because that place is great.
Yeah, the chicken is good. I just wish they had some other sauces. They have like the one sauce. Like
right.
I mean, if you don't care for that one sauce, then
right.
You're go home or something. I don't know.
That's their way of forcing you to take their sauce. You're like, hey, you got any honey mustard? And they're just like, no, only cane sauce.
Barbecue or something?
Barbecue something? That's what I took my girlfriend there for the first time ever, and she was just like, what is this place? I'm like, it's Raising Cane's. It's great. It's just chicken. Just chicken strips, French fries, and toast. It's nothing. It's not,
It's really simple.
There's 4 items on the menu. It's like one little screen. And I took her there, and she was like, it was like the soup Nazi where George is like, I didn't get my bread. He's like, just go. Yeah. Just go. Right. She's like, wait a minute. Don't I have a choice of sauce? Don't I get like ranch or barbecue? I was like, just walk away. Just
right. You don't. It's all
don't start. Don't get them started. They'll probably get mad at you for this.
Yes. Have you been to that Culver's? Yeah, that came up from the south. That's like a fast food place. It's in Strong. So I think there's one out in Avon.
There's one on Avon I know of. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like super nice, which irritates me a little bit. Like, I don't want you to be a jerk to me, but I feel like it's completely disingenuous. Like, you are working at a fast food place. You are not in that good of a mood.
Right.
And you are not that grateful for me being there. Like, just let's be honest with each other. And,
yeah.
I lost the screen there for a minute. And just, just give me my food and don't expect me. And well, see, here's the thing, right? I think they do it on purpose. Like, they do it on purpose to be nice, yes. But I think they actually, like, sort of drag you out a little bit on the drive-through by talking all like, how are you doing today?
Yeah, right.
Kind of thing. You know what I mean? What can I get you? Well, thank you very much. You know what I mean? Like, they're just trying to slow you down a little bit. So you don't realize that you've been waiting in that line for like an hour to get a stupid burger. You know what I mean? Like and I'm just like I'm just really curt because I just want to get through the damn thing. So I'm just like, this is what I want, and let's just go. And I'm not here to talk to you, buddy. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you how my day was. I don't know you. Like, just give me my damn sandwich. I don't mean to be a dick, but I kind of do. Like, is this a fast food place? I got friends I don't talk to. I don't need to talk to the fast food guy about how my day's going. Shit.
It's like you're looking at him like, I don't need a friend. I just need my burger. Just,
I wouldn't want that.
I didn't come here for you.
I couldn't handle that slow Southern thing anyway. Like, I would just, I got so much to do. Oh my God, so busy.
Being a DoorDasher and stuff, I find myself like trying to avoid other DoorDashers because they just assume they're like, oh, you're a DoorDasher? And it's like, yeah. And they're like, we're coworkers. And it's like, no, we're not.
Right. Yeah. You talked about that. Yeah. Exactly. And I would be like
walk away.
Annoyed too if I was like a dasher and I had to time is money. You don't want somebody slowing your ass down. Like, just give me my shit so I can get a better tip and get on my way. Like, don't talk to me all day about stupid. Yeah. So anyway, I just want to. We're a little over, and we're going to wrap it up now. If you want to write into the show, I did create an email specifically for Oblast. You can still write to Oblast at videogamenews.com. If it's easier to remember, it's cool. But I did create an Oblast at vgn.us. It's a little bit shorter. And it's specific, where like the Oblast at videogamenews.com will actually, it just goes to my main email address. So a whole bunch of other emails get mixed in there, but the Oblast at vgn.us is just for Oblast. So use that if you want to write it in the show. We'd like to have some guests on, so if you would like to talk to us about your life, and you haven't been on the show before, send me an email. And we'll talk about it and see if we can get you on. Make sure we have a way to sync up with you in terms of we're currently using like Google Meet, and make sure your audio is good and everything. And then we'll do like the usual interview process, which you can listen to our older shows, before the new ones, and you can see how that format works. If you have been interviewed on the show in the past and you would like to be interviewed again, we can certainly do that, but we're not ready to do that just yet. I'd like to give new people an opportunity to come on the show rather than just interviewing the old people. But I do want to catch up with some of the old people, especially because if you're still listening, the last episode was 5 years ago, and Oblast was pretty intermittent over the course of at least 10 years, right? So a lot can happen to everybody in 10 years. So, maybe nothing happened to you in 10 years. If it's like it is right now, where it's Groundhog Day, where I wake up and do the same shit every day because of COVID, I get it. But if you would like to get interviewed on the show by us and join us for an episode, send an email to oblast at vgn.us, and we'll have you on. And next week we won't have as many controversial topics. I have a whole list of topics I want to talk about, but I felt it was kind of good to get rid of the more controversial ones right off the bat, which, again, we're not trying to side one way or the other on any of these things. We're just talking about them because it's perspective and it's interesting. So you got anything else, Don?
No, I was just going to say, when you sent that topic to me, I literally stood there shaking my head like,
what are you doing?
Like, what? How do you talk about this and make jokes? You can't. How am I supposed to be funny?
Yeah, no, I know. You know, it's
It worked.
yeah, we talk about stuff. Sometimes it's just we're adults. But all right, thanks everybody, and yeah, again, this will be on the regular feed at some point, and we're going to keep doing those. I did talk about a Patreon that will happen down the road, but for now, we're just going to be doing every week shows until we work out a good cadence for the shows. So thanks everybody. Have a good night. Later.
Peace. Peace. I don't know.